I'm going to introduce you to Jeff. Um, During 9/11, I'm going to go all the way back to 9/11. I didn't know Jeff then, but I was working in a newsroom, and my news director at the time said of one of our senators in Tennessee, she was like, I don't always agree with him, but when he talks, he just kind of makes you feel like everything's going to be okay in the world. And this was one of our senators during 9/11. And I've always remembered that because you sometimes meet those people and that quality is like a thing. And Jeff Jones is one of those people for me. Like I just like feel like the world's going to be okay. So who better to calm our nerves and fix everything in the world in the next 20 minutes than Jeff Jones. So Jeff, if you want to introduce yourself, and tell us
Jeff.
If you want to introduce yourself and then tell us what you've learned about yourself in this Zoom era, and then tell us how to find gratitude.
Yeah, the main thing. Hi, Jeff. Also in Chicago. Wishing he were in Portland or Oregon, somewhere out there. I love that part of the country. The biggest thing that I've learned is that Carrie and I do not have a Zoom-worthy wall within our small apartment, and I need to get a Zoom-worthy wall, or a green screen.
A green screen would be good.
Yeah, green screen would be great. The other thing that I've learned in this visual two-dimensional world is how important Melissa Etheridge is to me, which I wasn't ready for at all. Every day for today will be day 17, every day at 4:30 Central Time, she does a Facebook concert for a half an hour.
Nice.
And,
every day?
And it's pretty cool because one, she's really talented. And two, she's overcome a lot with cancer and everything. And she'll do like 3 songs and the rest of it's just like stories.
Wow.
And it's awesome. And so on one piece of the screen, I'm watching, there's about 7,500 people a day that tune into this. And I'm watching names go up. And I've actually found 4 or 5 people that were like high school and college friends that I hadn't even thought about.
Wow.
In 30 years. And I've, messaged them. Who knows if I'll ever really talk to them again. But for that half hour, 7,500 people are experiencing the same thing from all around the world. And I think that's pretty awesome.
That gets to a question that I wanted to ask you, because you said to me the other day that this is the first time in your lifetime that the entire world has been facing the same issue, the same uncertainty, the same fears. What have you, but do you find that can be a positive thing, is what you were saying?
Oh, yeah. Yeah, it is, for me, it is the classic holding 2 emotions at the same time. I mean, the first question I have when I wake up is my throat sore? Do I have a cough? And I bet you 7.5 billion people around the world have a variation of that kind of question. And then on the other side, it is easily, I keep saying this and people take it the wrong way. This is the most exciting time of my life. Easily the most exciting time of my life. And I don't mean that it's all good by any means, but it has, and it's the topic today, it has inadvertently gotten me to recognize think about why I find this exciting. And that immediately gets me back to, you know what? I have an opportunity, and we all do, 7.5 billion people have an opportunity to change the way that they live from today on. And a lot of people, you're seeing the memes on Facebook where there'll be something that says, after the quarantine and isolation, this is what you'll see on the beach, and you get a whole bunch of pale looking people that have been eating chips on the couch all day, and that's a fear. That is going back to an addiction, and it's a fear. The other one is I'm getting all of these you're seeing this tremendous outpouring of people connecting. Melissa Etheridge is a great example, right? There's half a dozen bands. What was it? Like, who knows how many people tuned in to see Elton John a few nights ago, you know, millions and millions. People raising money for waiters and waitresses and everything. Tremendous compassion. And I think, you know, so like when you say solve these things in 20 minutes, I really started focusing on that piece, you know, the gratitude piece and the compassion piece. And it's such an opportunity to stop every time I'm getting ready to make a decision on something and decide, am I moving forward or backwards?
How do you decide that?
Um, and this will go back to one of our first conversations, Randy, when you're helping me write for the bio thing, writing my bio, me giving you, there's only two emotions. There's fear and love. That's all there is. And everything that you feel falls into one of those two columns. And so the question is always, am I making a fear-based decision? And you see it a lot with, like, a lot of my clients are making fear-based decisions until you help them see another way of falling back into addictions. Because I do, you know, I do a lot of work with people with addictions, you know, alcohol and drugs, and the isolation eats them. And the only thing they know is the pain they used to feel, and they don't know the moving forward piece. So it's helping them recognize the moving forward. And I had one client that he was getting really frustrated, and he finally just goes, you know, so what you're telling me is I'm safe, warm, and happy. I'm loved and loving, right? I go, yeah, not bad.
Yeah.
Stick with that one.
I have a client I was talking to earlier this week, and I said, you know, are you going to be able to? He's a leadership coach within the healthcare world, and I said, are you going to be able to bounce back? And he said, well, it's not really about bouncing back; it's about bouncing forward.
Good one.
And that has stuck in my mind because just in the past like 24 hours, I have had two people I've talked to who basically have decided they're going to go forward with this business idea that they had never had. Whereas like a week and a half ago, I was like, oh shit, I've got to shut my business down. Like this isn't going to work. And now it's like, it's turned around and there has been some stuff, but two people who are looking at that as an opportunity to start something new, bounce forward, I guess.
Yeah, absolutely. Um, you know, one of the challenges for me will be, you know, I certainly don't find myself falling back into old ways, but once we go back to where, like, we're having our BNI meetings live, you know, and I'm back hanging out with friends or, you know, running groups or whatever, will I fall back into the ease? Will I create something good now in this time of separation, but then move backwards when things become the old normal, you
Yeah.
know, and staying with something new. And, you know, part of me says, okay, well, let's make checklists. Let's have boxes we can check. I'm going to meditate for 10 minutes. I'm going to, you know, take 2 walks. I'm going to do these things. And it really, the other piece to this whole thing on the gratitude piece is staying with, you know, your true self. You know, who are you really? Well, I'm learning. I'm getting to see the opportunity every time I buy like a gift card for a restaurant I like. So I don't know about you, like my inbox exploded with emails for restaurants and everything.
Mhm.
And for a minute, I got, you know, real, I'm not gonna say angry, but it's like, you know, okay, I'm tired of this. People asking for money, you know, whether it's a charity or restaurant or everything. How much, you know, how much can I do? Until it occurred to me that that I have an emotional tie to those places, like Morton Arboretum. Why do I give money to Morton? Why am I a member there? Because I love nature, you know? Why do I go to Kimchi Pop so much? It's a local Korean barbecue place, right?
That sounds
Because I
delicious.
love the waiter and the cook and the waitress there, and they have good food.
Yeah.
you know? So I have the wherewithal now to, tip forward, you know? And what I learned was when I did that, when I walk by Kimchi Pop, I start grinning because they're closed right now. But I just feel so good. It's like, man, I can't wait to get back in there.
Yeah.
Versus if they were just closed and I hadn't done that and I'd walk by, I'd be like, well, they're closed too.
Right. Yeah.
So that
I have
small thing.
one more question for you, and then if anybody has a question, just unmute, and I'll look for you and ask you to jump in. One time you told me, Jeff, that we all like everybody takes a shower every day, but nobody thinks about to explain it.
Yeah. One of the anytime you go to a mindfulness kind of convention or talk, the question is always, and you can do this by a show of hands, how many people here took a shower or bath either last night or today? Right? How many people
AJ got
remember
back just
being
in time
how
to
many
weigh in
people
on the
remember being
shower.
wet? So how many people, and rarely, good one, rarely do people remember being wet, because when you're in the shower, you're thinking, what am I going to do for my 10 o'clock meeting? Oh my God, how am I going to get to the 8:30 thing? Oh, I've got 14 phone calls to make today. And you're everywhere but being present. You're everywhere but now. And the funny science around it is that people spend 30% of their time thinking about the past, and 70% of their time thinking about the future, which leaves no time for being here now.
But how do you do that right now? How do you be here right now? Even like the most centered, mindful person like you has to like recognize that it's a little tough right now, right? No?
I recognize it, but this is like back to the first thing. Um, it's I guess the Buddhist way of looking at it is holding two emotions. I have fear on one side of this disease, but I also have this joy on this side of what I am and what I can create. The actual tactic behind it is, um, and anybody that's got a smartwatch or a smartphone, set your timer for whatever, and whenever that timer goes off, take a deep breath and find three things that interest you. Or here's a great example. Here's something that everybody can do. Everybody's going to go to sleep tonight. We're all going to wake up in the morning. And most people nowadays, the first thing that they do is reach for their phone and look at their phone. Keep your eyes closed. Take 2 or 3 deep breaths. And by deep breaths, I mean really fill up your lungs and then just let the air fall out. So you're going to make like a whoosh sound, like, keeping your eyes closed. Do 2 or 3 of those. Then slowly open your eyes and look around the room and find something that you're grateful for. And the sentence is, for this, I am grateful.
For
And you
this.
know what? It can be, most people think, oh, geez, it's going to be my partner. You know what? It might be. It could also be the cool color you painted your wall. It could be flowers in a vase. It could be, I mean, Dylan's got some great artwork behind him. It could be that picture. Randy, you've got those floor plans. It could be a story or a memory. One might attract you, you know, and what that does is bring you present. Every time you have to wait, take a breath. You don't have to do anything else. Just take a breath. So how many times do you have to wait? A ton. Every time you go to a street corner, if you're standing in front of your coffee pot in the morning, take one deep breath and it will bring you right back to the present, which takes you out of fear and gets you back to saying, yeah, I'm safe, I'm warm, I'm dry, I'm okay. For right now, I'm okay.
Yeah. Does anybody else have a question or a thought or something that works for you? So, oh, go ahead, Dylan.
Yeah, one question. Thank you for tagging the bio, Randy. Jeff, I think sometimes when we're now like in our space and stuff, like a lot of our past issues start to come up. The just like difficult times you've been through, like grief and loss, like maybe because we're not outside and able to distract ourselves or we're not at work. And you kind of had mentioned in your bio about healing through like difficult times and things like that. So, what do you think is a good technique or a good way to kind of combat those negative thoughts or just shift to a different perspective?
That's a really good one. That's a therapy question. Um, it's a really good one. The do you meditate at all?
I've tried meditating. I typically don't, not really.
I'm
I mean,
not good at it
a
either.
couple
I've
yoga
tried
classes.
it and I'm terrible at it. I can't.
I can't.
I know I can and I know I need to, but it's not something that comes naturally for me. And it sounds like that's what Dylan's saying too.
Well, and I say that not that I'm going to ask you to meditate, and this the quick long one-liner behind that is people that meditate every day for 1 minute are way ahead of people who say they're going to meditate for an hour and never do. So you probably have a minute. That's the point.
Yeah.
But the think of, so Dylan, close your eyes for a second. Think of a time in your life when you displayed a quality that you feel is authentic to you. It can be a hug with your mother. It can be a joyous time with a friend. It can be accomplishment, personal or business, and something that is genuine with you. Then recognize where in your body you feel that. Then in your head, try to describe that. If that's compassion or love or kindness or um, frankly, it can be the opposite. It can be anger. It can be any of those. If it's a positive one, recognize that as a true inherent quality of yourself. And so when you get distracted and you think about the grief and the loss, you use that and you ask yourself, is this true? Is this feeling of grief true? It can be true, but then it can be from a compassionate person. If it is, and you extend it, that grief, that compassion. If it's a negative, if it is, I did this and I was really mad, what did you learn from it? What was the learning? And the learning, invariably, if you spend some time in it, is that that's not a true feeling, that it is something that's in the fear column. So it always gets back to recognizing who we really are as people. And when I was talking about when we move forward and not falling back, it's easy to fall back into, frankly, a position I thought was pretty good. But these couple of weeks of being in isolation and dealing with people on Zoom in this sort of two-dimensional way has really given me the time and space to recognize, what do I want my world a year from now to look like? Because the sentence that you can use is, a year from now, my life will be different. It won't be, it's going to be better or worse, but I know for sure it won't be the same. How do I want that world to look? How will I show myself to myself and to the rest of the world? Will I be closer to the real Dylan or not?
See what I mean? You did it. In 20 minutes, you fixed everything for all of us, Jeff. It's fine. I mean, we still need medical masks and stuff like that, but for the five of us at least, um, I am putting Jeff's email address in the group chat too. I'm sure he's cool if anybody wants to reach out separately to keep talking more. But we are gonna wrap up too. So, any final thoughts, Jeff, before?
No, I just think, I just hope people look at this as being an exciting time to recognize recognize that this is such a unique opportunity that we all have, and capitalize. Like, why am I grateful for this? Why am I? I mean, I can just look at the five of us here, five other people here, and I mean, I know Stacy, I know Lydia, but I'm seeing them different in this situation. This was an opportunity for me to communicate to them in a different way, and I like it.
Very cool. Well, thank you for doing it, and thank you all for being here. We're gonna